Do you struggle to ask for help? Are you very generous with your own time, but when it comes to asking someone else for an incy little bit of theirs, you'd really just rather not? In fact, you'd rather just overwork and overexert yourself, burn yourself out if that's really what's necessary, just to avoid someone else having to try and help you. Well, if you are, you're in good company. When you've never been taught how to ask other people for help, or that it's okay to do so, even just the thought of trying feels really difficult. And that doesn't mean that you're lazy or weak. You're coming up against some real psychological barriers that would have been with you probably since you were a child. And they're now impacting you today as you try and go about your living life as an adult. In this video, I'm going to explain why it feels so hard to ask for help and give you some practical tips for how you can start getting better at doing it. There are many reasons why we can find it difficult to ask for help, but all of these reasons boil down to one key thing: self-protection. Our fear of asking for help comes from a fear of feeling shame around asking. And that feeling of shame is so painful that we want to protect ourselves from feeling it at all costs, even if that means causing harm to ourselves or overdoing or overexerting things in ourselves just to avoid feeling that one feeling. So essentially, you're afraid to ask for help because you're protecting yourself from possible negative consequences. And practically speaking, this can look like a few things. It can look like you're afraid of burdening others. You don't want them to have to take on the responsibility of your emotions or this task you need them to do or anything else that you need them to support you with. Or perhaps you're afraid of rejection. You don't want to feel the pain of someone saying no to you. Or maybe you're perfectionistic and you need that control over everything that's going on. Otherwise, you're worried that it's just not going to be to the standard that you know it should be and that you could deliver if you did it yourself. And it's likely that all of these reasons are grounded in real experience that you've had in the past. You've likely asked for help, and someone has said, "No, go away," and they've rejected you. Or they've come back to you complaining that you've been burdensome and actually really tired and resentful that you even bothered asking. Or maybe you have delegated a task to someone and they've just cocked it up and you just think, oh my God, if I'd have just done that myself, it would have been so much better. Like, your fear of asking for help is usually grounded in very, very real and tangible reasons and experiences that you've had. And now, if you're watching this video, you've probably recognized that your inability to get support when you need it is hurting you more than anything you might be defending yourself against. Because let's take a little quick look at the impact that not being able to ask for help is having on your life. Maybe you feel guilty before you even try and ask for anything. Maybe you feel anxious before doing a task because you know that you don't want to get other people involved, so you're going to have to do all of this work by yourself, and that's going to be a lot, and it's going to be very taxing on yourself and your relationships. Or maybe you try even and then go and do everything on your own and you end up burning yourself out because it's just not possible to meet all of our needs all on our own. We're not supposed to work in silos or even exist in a social place isolated. We need other people to help meet our own needs. I, from a very personal place, used to be terrible at asking for help. I can remember in the second year of the work grad scheme that I was on, I got tasked with doing a review for the most important project for the team. I'd been on the team like a month, and I had to do the 3-month review for this project. And I had no idea what was going on. I'd never done that sort of review before. I didn't know if I had access to the data. I didn't know what to do with the data. I didn't even know what the sort of business objectives were or what was meant to be going on. And this project, which wasn't doing very well, so it's difficult to deliver the news. You have to do some corporate schmoozing to say, God, this hasn't worked. And I tried. And I used the strategy that I'd previously had worked very well for me through school and my degree and my first year of work, which was I can do this all myself. And so I knuckled down, I stayed till 10 o'clock at night doing the work, but I could not do it. And then a couple of weeks later, my boss was like, "Where are you with this?" And I said, I had to confess that I'd done none of it, almost none of it, because I was just not capable. And that was a real learning moment for me, and it hurt so much carrying it, feeling guilty about not being able to do it, and then overworking for no reason. Because she said, "Lewis, just ask me." And that was a real turning point for me. And since then, I sort of hit rock bottom at my not asking for help. And it was only in that experience that that I slowly decided, you know what? I have to get better at asking for help. And if you've also come to the place where you've realized that not asking for help is self defeating, that it's hurting you, then please listen to this. It is okay to ask for help. You don't have to struggle through your feelings and your problems alone. Asking for help is not weak, it's not needy, it's not desperate. It is a mature way of getting your needs met and managing and meeting your responsibilities. Because nobody does all of this life stuff all on their own. And so, before we now get into some of the practical tips for how you can be a little bit better at asking for help, I just want to touch on the difference between asking for help and asking someone to rescue you. If we go back to my example of when I just did not know how to do the work, instead of asking for help, when I'd failed to do what I needed to do, I then basically took my problem, went to my boss, and I said, "Ah, help." That's not asking for help. I was asking her to rescue me because I didn't know what I was doing, I hadn't given myself enough time, and I hadn't asked for help early enough such that she could intervene in a timely manner. And most of us intuitively know that getting other people to rescue us doesn't feel good, and other people really don't like it. So, what does getting someone to rescue us actually look like? And you can use my example as an illustration. Well, trying to get someone to rescue us looks like whining or manipulating or coercing someone to do something for us. Maybe we do this by complaining or being passive aggressive or not giving enough time. Or often it's when we come to someone expecting them to give us a solution when we haven't even tried to think of something ourselves. And this is really annoying and it feels terrible when we do it. And in contrast, asking for help looks like going to someone at an appropriate time and asking in a straightforward and clear way for exactly what you need. And then also being okay if they say no. Because when you ask for someone to help you, you have to let them decide if they want to or not. And sometimes they might say no. And you've got to be okay and prepared to deal with that. So let's start looking at how you can actually get a little bit better at asking people for help. And ultimately, it all comes down to changing your mindset around what asking for help really means, what it stands for. And when you change how you think about it, you're going to start changing how you feel about it. There's a quote that I just love around this, and I don't know who it's attributed to. I couldn't quite find out, but I've read it somewhere. And it essentially goes that your needs are a gift for others. Your needs are a gift for others. Do you know how good it feels when someone else comes to you asking for help and you get to help them? Well, imagine if you did that for someone else. When you ask for help and you share a need with someone, you give them the opportunity to get to know you, to see you in a more vulnerable way, and create a deeper relationship with you by hearing that need and then helping you fulfill that need. And this is a mutual thing because you're going to be two adults here, and you can also help them fulfill their needs when they ask you for help. It is a mutual support package. You're not being needy or desperate or dependent. You're being mature and asking to connect with someone in a potentially vulnerable way. And that will do wonders for your relationship with them, and it will help you because it means that you don't have to take on all of life by yourself. And what does this look like practically? Well, when you start asking for help, start with asking for small things and get really clear before you ask on what you're going to say. So you might go and say, hey, could I have 10 minutes of your time to help me understand how this works? And then you've also got to prepare for the fact that they might say no. And this is the hardest part because you can do all this work, retraining your mindset, preparing what you're going to say, making a small, reasonable ask, but sometimes people are busy or they're just being dick. It hurts because you've tried and you're being vulnerable and you're trying something new and you just get shut down. Do a little bit of work to prepare yourself for the fact that they might say no and that is okay. It's completely their prerogative to say no. And so you've also got to remember that when you ask, you're going to do it imperfectly. They might say no. And so you need to be kind to yourself. Pat yourself on the back physically or mentally, however you like doing it, whenever you strike up the courage to prepare what you're going to say and you go and do it. Pat yourself on the back when they say no, and make sure that you have some sort of backup plan if they do say no, so that you can feel confident going into the discussion and you can still feel confident going out of it. Asking for help is a form of self-compassion, and it also helps to be actively kind to yourself and supportive to yourself whilst you're going through the imperfect process of trying to get a little bit better at it. Ultimately, learning to ask for help and not feeling afraid anymore of asking for help is a challenge, but it is one that gains momentum the more you do it. Because the more you ask for help, the more help you will receive. And the more help you receive, the easier it becomes to take on the different challenges for life. And then the easier it becomes to ask for help a little bit more because you feel less anxious about asking for help and you have more time and energy because you're not trying to carry everything all on your own. I'll end by saying it again. It's okay to ask for help. You deserve to have your needs met. And sometimes you have to ask for a little bit of help to get that done. So that's my video on why it feels so hard to ask for help and what you can do to get a little bit better at it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Take care, and I will see you again soon.